But that also gets us to this really important piece of understanding how to curate your brand store in a way that's going to make it accessible for.
What am I doing that's working? How do I do more of that? And so more of that could be different match types, but it also can be different.
Hello, I'm Emma Shermer Tamir with Marketing by Emma, and today I am with Elizabeth Green from Jungler, and we are going to be talking about sponsored brand ads. So, Elizabeth, what are sponsored brand ads?
Yeah, so sponsored brand ads are amazing, but honestly, a lot of small business owners find them super intimidating. So hopefully we can just really simplify it for you today, give some pointers. But sponsored brand ads show up at the top of the screen. You might have seen them. They're also referred to as like headline ads or banner ads. And if you've ever seen a video on Amazon in search, those are also sponsored brand ads. And not many people know they can also show up at the bottom of search and sometimes on product pages as well. And I'm sure we'll get into the creatives and how this can really enhance your brand, but it gives you an additional placement in searches and on product pages that is not available in sponsored product ads.
So, you were talking a little bit about where they appear, but I think it's very important to also be talking about how they show up in the customer journey because they are a little bit different than a more traditional sponsored product ad.
Yeah, so whenever I'm running advertising, I like to think of it from the outside in because a lot of times you get stuck in ad console and you're like, oh, should I click this button? But those buttons change how your ads show up and where they show up. So with a sponsored brand ad, there's oftentimes, especially with headline ads, sort of a middle component to the shopper journey. And we'll talk about how that can actually be used to your advantage, but a lot of times with a sponsored brand ad, you're say directing a shopper to your storefront and then they're faced with different options to purchase. But instead of like clicking through, say, a sponsored product ad or oftentimes like a sponsored display where they land right on that listing, there's sort of like that middle journey component. And if you sort of view it that way, like, oh, where is it appearing? And oh, then they'll go here and they would see this, that will really help you sort of comprehend what is going to make sense for you and your brand, depending on how you want to run these ads.
You talk about that middle journey, and so I imagine that is going to really shape and change the strategy that you're taking with a sponsored brand ad, and you might want to target those in a different way than you would with a sponsored product ad. So how do you actually go about figuring out how to target these and to set them up in a way that's going to be successful and lead to a positive ROI?
Yeah, and here's where I think so many sellers sort of overthink this. Really, when it comes to Amazon in general, but definitely the advertising, like it's about search placement. And so what you want to do is say like, do these products make sense when a consumer is typing this into search? And a great way to know if you're ready to expand or how to expand these ads is simply to look at your sponsored product ads because those are typically the ads that everyone runs first, and then just say, okay, what products do I have? And then what searches, what keywords are working really well for these products? Because the best strategy, if you really, really want to dumb it down in Amazon advertising, it's what am I doing that's working? How do I do more of that? And so more of that could be different match types, but it also can be different ad types, which a really great migration. And a lot of people would be like, it feels just so lazy. Like all I have to do is take a look at sponsored product ads and just like do it in sponsored brand ads. Like, but that's true, and to be honest, in all of our testing, like, that's the best way to do it, so you don't have to overcomplicate it. Be like, "What products do I have that are really working? What keywords, what searches are really working? Okay, so let me take these and put them in a sponsored brand ad," and then it's like, "What products apply to this search?" And then you can start to build out, again, that consumer journey where they can eventually land on your listing and then purchase.
So you mentioned figuring out what products actually make sense, and that's a really important piece that we need to make sure to spend a little bit of time with. But before we get there, I just want to clarify who should or maybe shouldn't run brand ads.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a prerequisite for these ads. So you do have to be brand registered to run them. And then I would highly recommend having a really well built out store page, which Emma, I know you're a certain expert. I'm an expert in driving traffic to store pages and understand it. But I would love to hear if you have any tips for like what is good in terms of like building a store page. But if you don't have a store page, you can run video ads that are directly to a product page. But again, the other prerequisite is not only brand registry, but you do have to have some creatives. So you want to have a video available if you're going to run video ads, or if you're going to run a headline ad, you do have to have a lifestyle image. Now, Amazon has done a lot of advancements when it comes to, like, again, just trying to make this as easy as possible for beginners. So while I do highly recommend having a really solid creative, and putting time and effort into that, if you're just trying to get up very quickly, Amazon does have capabilities of AI, or they have some partnerships with, like, actually Canva and stuff, where there's templates, there's ways that you can generate these images, and then immediately have them active, like, in your creative assets in the account, which again is highly appreciative because it can seem super complex, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I love the way that you're breaking it down, and there are obviously those opportunities for people that are just getting started, that are wanting to dip their toes
Yeah.
into a new ad type, but then obviously also a really valuable lever that brands can pull to not just drive more sales, but I imagine also increasing cart value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that I talk with a lot of brands, especially if they've built like a very cohesive brand, an example would be like an athletic wear company. So they might have a listing where you can't have variations where it's like, like the sports top and the leggings, while those products do really go together. But oftentimes what happens with the consumers is like, oh, unless you have like a matching set in your listing, they would say, okay, I need to have these leggings and then I want to find a top that's going to match it. Well, they're gonna go and type in, whatever leggings they want and then sports top and then try and be like, but then like, does the colors actually match? Like, I want these things to coordinate. Or you might have a very cohesive brand, but being able to showcase that and allow cross sells, upsells, increasing average order values. It can feel very disjointed, and that's really where there's a powerful impact that sponsored brands can have. And so what you can do is you can build out your Amazon storefront. So I recommend like sub pages here. So you have your main storefront, but if you said like, okay, so I have all of these sets, like I have these different types of leggings and then these different tops, but all of them have color combinations and they work really well together. You can create a sub page that will have all of those products grouped together and then drive traffic to that sub page. And you can then target keywords that may have not made sense in the beginning. So, an example would be like workout sets, right? You probably wouldn't target workout sets with like just a top or just leggings, but as you have that brand page, now it makes sense and you can showcase in that lifestyle image, oh, we have matching sets, and then you can showcase some of the three top products at work, and that just really allows you to have like this cohesive, and they can experience more from your brand, find more, and ideally purchase more.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's really exciting to me about that is that it allows for you to also be able to target keywords that you may not otherwise be able
Yeah.
to convert on, because if somebody is searching for a set, they're going to just swipe right by your leggings. But if you do have the ability to really create a full set, then now you're able to expand out your reach and not only target those customers, but then have a higher cart value than you would otherwise. But that also gets us to this really important piece of understanding how to curate your brand store in a way that's going to make it accessible for customers and also make these ad types as powerful as possible. Because if you are just sending somebody to a brand store that is very disorganized, that doesn't really highlight and showcase these products in the way that you're maybe also communicating about them in your ad, then that's unfortunately probably a lost opportunity. And so it's so important when you're thinking about this piece and about putting together these subpages or a brand store, of understanding who your customer is and how they're going to be using your catalog together,
Yeah.
so that you can really create these opportunities for them to see how effortless and easy it is to be able to just click add to cart, add to cart. Oh, and there's a cute sweatshirt that coordinates with all of this and ties it together. I would like that as well.
Yeah.
Of course, this could also be with complementary items, like I imagine like a skincare line where you have a face wash and a moisturizer and a face mask. Or what are there other types of categories in particular that you see this being incredibly powerful?
Yeah, I would say again, it's so easy to overthink this and to be like, oh no, now I have to create like all these sub pages with all these different combinations. I would say the honestly the best way in terms of less effort, but also in terms of just performing the best is when again you go into your existing search term reports and say, okay, what search pages are working very well with which products? And then say, okay, so how do I capitalize on this? So you might say like workout set, you might see activewear, and you're like, okay, well, these keywords are doing pretty well, but I wish I could, get more of this audience, get more purchases from this audience. Great. Now you have that sub page. And then you start to think of your product line. Okay, what makes sense here? Another thing that I will say is the most frustrating from a consumer perspective, because I've encountered this many times, is where you'll see something on a brand ad. It might be in the lifestyle images, it might be on the products that are displayed, and I'll think, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. I really want to dig into that. And so I'll click on it and I'll be taken to a page where I'm like, wait, that product that I saw that I really, really like, that I really, really want, I would absolutely love to purchase that. I can't find it. Like, where is it? So now I'm clicking around, trying, and eventually, like, it depends on how much I want it. Sometimes I'll like try and search the brand name and find it. And then other times I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm sorry, you lost my business. So I would say, like, really think about it again from that shopper journey. Like, what are they experience? If they say, oh, I really want that product, and then they are unable to purchase it and find it immediately, you definitely want to make sure that you're capitalizing on that. So take a look at your sub pages every so often, see what products you're advertising. Again, just make sure that if somebody sees something, they have the ability to purchase it as soon as possible.
I think you bring up such an important point that I want to pause here for a moment and really dig into that because it's going to be a practice that is so invaluable to your success, which is not just looking at your keywords and all of these campaigns and all of these strategies as something that's sitting on your computer, but really thinking about the customer behind each one of these queries so that you're able to put yourself into of the mindset of what they're thinking about and what they are really looking for in that moment. And so when you can do that effectively, then you can think about, okay, well, how should I structure my brand store? And it might not sound that exciting to be thinking about organization of a store, but even if you go into a physical retail space, there's a very deliberate choices about what is where, and they're not going to have evening wear that's right next to a pair of leggings. They're going to have a defined section of the store that's for active wear and another section that's for going out attire. And so that hierarchy and that way of organizing things is so important because a customer is not going to Amazon in an isolated environment and having the peace of mind to very leisurely search for something. They have an immediate need. They want to get on with their day. And so the easier that you can make it, the quicker that you can make it, the more that you can reduce that friction, the higher likelihood that you are going to convert that customer.
No, I could not have said that better. And I want to say, like, in that whole like retail example, like, do you know how difficult it is to get information on how the groupings like perform or like that customer feedback? Like surveys, trying to like understand shopper, like secret shoppers, like it's insane. So the benefit is that with Amazon advertising, and this goes for sponsored ads, display ads, brand ads, like you get consumer feedback on specific stopper searches. So if you're like, my product fits here and this is not converting, you can look at all of these wealth of metrics. It's almost overwhelming to like really understand. Like ads can be a lever to understand your consumer better, which can feed into additional products. It can feed into other ad types to run, other products that you're going to launch. Like there's such a wealth of information that if you know how to leverage it or you take the time to leverage it, it really can benefit your business immensely.
And I think that leads us into a question that I'm wondering, which is what are some of the most common mistakes that you see when people are setting up this ad type?
I would say definitely overthinking it. 100%. It can seem so intimidating, and it can also feel like it's an all or nothing thing. Like, "Oh, I must set up this one specific ad, and this one specific ad must work." Like, treat it like a test, and the other amazing thing about Amazon advertising is that the barriers to entry are so low. So if you are a little bit afraid to dip your toes in, if you're like, "Ugh, I feel like I just can't spend this much more," like, you can set a very low budget and a very low starting bid. The worst things that gonna happen is you're gonna get no impressions, but you weren't getting impressions anyways because that ad wasn't even launched. You can always increase. So I would say if you are worried about this ad type, if you're still trying to understand, like start with a very low bid. You can start with a 25-cent bid. You probably won't get impressions for that. But again, Worst case scenario, nobody sees your ad, but they're not seeing your ad anyways. So I would say again, and then not overthinking like, oh, I have to go out and do this intense keyword research. Again, look at the data that's already available in your account. Let that drive your next step because that's going to be the next best step instead of just like taking a step into the complete unknown.
So I expect every single one of you watching right now to go set up your first sponsored brand ad, or if you already have some running, go dive in, take a look, and see how you can optimize them a bit. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I learned so much during this conversation.
Awesome. Thanks so much.